What up, guys? Today we're going to go ahead and make another EEPROM substitute, and just so that there is more options for chip burners. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to roll into a DigiKey real quick and take a look at a chip I was looking at, and then we'll see if there's a low cost and good supply chain of that chip available, and then we should be good to rock and roll and drop a circuit here. So let's go ahead and cruise over to DigiKey together. So over here we can see I'm looking at this part number right here, the FM188B-SG. It's a FRAM chip. It's parallel memory, 256 kilobit, which is the same as 32 kilobytes. So this is a parallel package, which is exactly what we're looking for. Parallel packages come with 15 address lines and 8 data lines in the 28-pin configuration. So we're looking pretty good there. It's non-volatile. It's still an older chip, but looks like there's plenty of it available here at DigiKey, but I don't like their pricing point. Pricing point's a little steep. So I like to jump over to good old AliExpress. And as you guys can see here, I've found 10 pieces for $28 roughly. I always check the seller store to see if they've been around for a while and what their ratings are. As you can see, they got some decent ratings here, and they've been around for like 3+ years, so I will definitely buy from this seller. And next thing I do is I jump over to LCSC. The reason I do that is because when I build stuff in EasyEDA, I like to have a reference part from LCSC because there are sketched examples already built into the EasyEDA software. So I plugged that part number in and grabbed the LCSC part number of it. Let's jump back into our EasyEDA and draw this thing up. So I'm going to go place, device, part number is in, it matches, I'm going to place it, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop in a set of pin headers. This is a pair of 14-pin pin headers, so this will work pretty good for us. We need to add a couple of net ports here because I don't use them with my emulator boards. So we need to add the WE port right off the bat. And you can name your flags whatever you want. This is just how they're kind of labeled on here from an emulator I use. Alright, and now we're pretty much ready to start cooking. So I'm going to copy and paste a bunch of these ports over. It's just the quickest way to handle this. Now these ones a little bit trickier, but not that big of a deal. What we're going to do here to make this work is we're just going to individually do these guys since they're going to be a different orientation here. Okay. So what we have here is we have our chip, it's mapped out, and we have our headers, which are also mapped out. So now we can go ahead and put this into a PCB. Now, first things first, we're going to take these headers right here on the bottom, and we're going to actually make sure they're on the bottom layer. And then we know that ground is going to be on the right hand side, and we know that VCC is going to be on the left hand side. We also know that VCC is going to sit above, and then we also need to go over here, set our units to millimeters, and then we need to place a dimension. We're going to go length, and I'm just going to measure straight up from here. Try and keep this pretty parallel. And then I can come over here to length and I can change this, put it to 15.4. That's the spacing that we're looking for. Good, so we've got these pretty much where we want them. I might shift this over just a hair. Okay, so now our rails are pretty much in alignment. They're spaced out properly for the EEPROM socket. Now we need to go ahead and match up the memory. And right off the bat, I'm already kind of messing myself up here. Let's get rid of these traces. I like to go to design, design rule, and we can go with a much smaller track here. Okay, much better. You just gotta really go where it wants to take you and just kind of adjust as you need. Plenty of room working with these small traces. Even though the Oki doesn't care about like the write enable pin, because the Oki will never write to it. The Oki is the processor that's inside of the P28 style ECUs. Um, but we also have to keep in mind that we have to manually write to this chip, so we're going to need that write enable pin. But if you're making an emulator, you don't need to worry about that pin. Yeah, actually, a fun fact about that write enable pin. The reason that the SST chips need a special write process to them where they're offset by 8,000 is because the WE pin actually hits A15 on the SST512 chips, which causes it to offset the memory to a different chunk of the map. So there's nothing that the ECU does or knows that it has a bigger chip in it. It's just simply that the WE pin is tied high on the ECU, and in correlation of that, it makes a map go to a different region because it has the A15 pin there. So that's why SSTs are really picky about programmers. All right, there it is. And I highly recommend that you guys increase the traces for the power and ground. Cool. And then the next thing we need to do is simply place a board outline. Like that. Hop over to previous design from the old burner here. Copy some elements. All right, there's the alpha logo. Can't go wrong. Okay, and then the next thing I recommend you guys do is go ahead and put a copper region on this guy. And we're just going to do a ground region. And I like to do 45 grid. There's a whole lot of reasons for it, but we're not going to go into that in this video. And I'm going to place another copper region as well. And this time it's going to be on the bottom layer. And then we're going to go check our DRC. There's no errors. View the 3D preview. And voila, we have just drawn up our new replacement. Now keep in mind, PCB this size, you guys can order like 40 of them for like $7, 40, 50 of them for like $7. So they're super inexpensive. So at the end of the day, we're looking at like $3 a piece for these replacements. You'll have an FRAM chip that you can use with your burner, and you can use it in your EEPROM socket on your ECU. So again, these are great alternatives, a way that we can get around those really picky Chinese SST chips. And you don't have to worry about a high voltage for an erase cycle. These things are really good at reprogramming, so this is what we'll do. And then we could even talk about doing a 2-timer method in another video with small chips like this. Even though it's 32 kilobits, there's other tricks we can do. So hope you enjoyed the video, and hope you guys didn't get too distracted by the glare on my glasses, and hopefully I will catch you in the next one.